Well, here we are again. Another BMW that won't start, nothing unusual about that. This is a particularly difficult problem. I've had this problem 3 times over the last 10 years, 3 times in three different cars. So I first had it happen in a E39, which I've subsequently got rid of. Probably one of the best cars I've ever owned. And then I had it in a 325i, and so now I've got it in my 330. The 330i is the same. So what's occurred a few weeks ago is my daughter's driving the car, and unfortunately the explosion tank managed to separate itself, break apart at the seams as they commonly do. So that's a common enough problem. Every BMW I've had to replace an expansion tank, unfortunately. Fortunately, they're aftermarket, they're reasonably inexpensive, and I think the aftermarket ones are better. So nevertheless, so I've got this situation now. I've fixed all the cooling system up, I've had it in the driveway, I've been doing some bleeding. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of rain. You can see there's a bit of water damage out here from the rain, so that stopped me a little bit. I've also had another problem. If you can see that, I've tested COVID positive, so I think I'm just on the tail end of that. So that's made it difficult for me to actually do anything to the car for a period of time. So a couple of days ago I decided I'll do a final bleed. I did the final bleed on the cooling system, and then went to start it. So I went to start the engine up. My foot's off the throttle. Initially it started. It's running on about three cylinders. So I'm sitting in the car, and because it's running on about three or four cylinders, or 3.5 cylinders, or something like that, I thought, well, I better open the throttle up and see if I can get the revs up and give the other cylinders a bit of a chance. So who knows what's going on inside the cylinder. So when I pushed my foot on the throttle, the engine stalled. The engine stalled. Okay, fair enough. Just another challenge. So then I went to start it. It nearly started. I felt like it would. If I took my finger off the key, it'd probably keep going on 3 cylinders, but not for very long. Anyway, very quickly that deteriorated, and it got to the point where it's not starting at all. But the interesting thing is that it's cranking over as though it's got no compression. There's no spark plugs in there, which of course there is spark plugs in there. So something's happened, and I've lost cylinder compression for the 3rd time out of 3 cars in 10 years. So I'm not that thrilled about it. But because I've had this happen a number of times, this seems to be a common BMW problem. And as far as I've looked on online, YouTube, social media, and things like that, I haven't come up with anybody that's got a definite solution as to what's actually occurred here. So my belief is what we've got is we've got some injectors that have sprayed fuel on a cold cylinder bore. They've washed the oil off the bore. What we've got low tension oil rings in these engines, as we know, another great achievement from BMW. So between having the oil washed off the bore and low tension oil rings, and the engine's cold, and I pushed my foot on the throttle and I gave a few squirts from the injectors, and it basically washed it off, lost compression. It didn't have enough compression to keep itself running, so the engine stopped. So then when I tried to restart it a couple of times, the injectors are going zit, 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 zit. They're going spray, 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 spray. So whatever oil I've got left on the cylinders has just washed the last bit off. Now at this point, there's no point cranking it over and putting a compression gauge or something like that on it, because when I've done this in previous cars, I've had between 40 and 60 pounds on every cylinder. This one sounds like it's got 1 cylinder functioning. But I will, after we've done a couple of things, there's a few things that we need to do before we crank the engine over so you can hear it. One thing we know that we've got residual fuel pressure here. So what I have done, I've taken off the little cap, wherever the cap is, put it in my pocket. somewhere it is. In my pocket. I've taken the cap off the fuel rail. And so what the idea is, before we go cranking the engine over again, to stop any fuel spraying in there, we'll disconnect the fuel pump, we'll find the fuse or the relay, pop that out, and we'll take that cap off, push the valve down and take any fuel pressure out of the fuel rail. Because what we've got, even though we might have the fuel pump deactivated, we've still got around 200 kilopascals of pressure in the fuel line, and as we're cranking the engine over, we're just putting more and more and more of the problem stuff in there that's giving us the trouble of stopping it from being able to gain enough cylinder compression to start. So I'll show you how to do that. The other thing that we're going to do first things first, is if we've got a bit of a fuel contamination issue going on, it's probably in the oil as well. So we'll drain the oil out, do an oil change, put some fresh Penrite 530 in, some full synthetic, and that's it. So I'm not going to bore you with doing the oil change, but once I've got the oil out, we'll have a look at it. So that's it for step one. We've got the oil out of the engine, which is a good thing. We've left the filter on. I'm not going to change the filter at the moment. But the last thing I want to do is have a dry oil filter and cranking the engine over and not putting oil to the bearings and the other bits and pieces of the engine that require it. So once we get the thing started, then we'll do that. We'll get the filter changed. So that's the oil. Nice and black, it's doing well, and when I smell it, I can't smell any petrol. There's no sign of petrol. There's definitely no signs of any bits and pieces at the bottom or anything like that. It's just nice, used, good Penrite synthetic oil. So I think it's worthwhile to do that in any case, to do that change. So leave that there. Now we come down to something else of great importance, and this is the sump plugs. So what we've got here is a standard BMW sump plug, which every BMW technician or enthusiast should keep one of those in their toolboxes, that's for sure, because they have a problem when you're dealing with what I'll call rough technicians or hobbyists that really don't know what they're doing. These have got a hole in the center. They've got a hole in the center of the sump plug. And the whole thing about the hole, it's designed to snap. It's designed to snap if you over tighten the bolt. So BMW suggests you're better off to snap a bolt rather than strip the thread in the aluminium sump, which is a much bigger deal to fix. The torque setting for these is 25 Newton meters, and unfortunately a lot of people have torque wrenches, but they don't know how to use them. They don't understand what static friction is. They do it in jerking motions. They try and do it twice, they do it once and then do it a second time. So the result is that's what's going to happen occasionally. Now, in my BMW lifetime, even as a junior BMW mechanic, when I was 20, 21, 22 or something like that, these things were giving problems even back then. So in my life, I've probably had about probably 3 or 4. Now I haven't broken them, but I've been around the actual job itself. So there's one occasion, a friend of mine, another technician, he was doing an oil change for me on my car. I was busy doing other stuff, and when I was finished, I said to him, "So how did the sump plug feel, Mike? What's it like?" And he said, "Oh, it didn't feel real good." So what does that mean? It didn't feel real good. Anyway, so I put the thing back up on the hoist again. I put a socket on to loosen it. Anyway, when I loosened it, it snapped. So it was already right at that point of a crack. And the fortunate thing is when it does break, it's quite easy to get out. It's just a case of get a Phillips head screwdriver and bang it in, and it'll wind out quite easily. But the problem you've got, if one of these things breaks on the road, well then all your oil leaks out. And if all the oil leaks out, there's some customers that just decide that red light on the dashboard is not that important, so they just keep on driving and just destroy the whole thing. So Yep, I've got one of those in my toolbox. I prefer not to use it. So my little modification is that. So I just get a different bolt, exactly the same thread. If you can get one the right length, that's fine. A little bit longer is not going to hurt. 8.8 hardness. Put that on with a new copper washer, and then you can put a reasonable amount of torque on it without being stupid and damaging the thread in the sump. Now, if you can't use a torque wrench correctly, I suggest you learn how to do that. Every bolt on cars, a modern car, has got a torque, and there's a lot of reasons for these torques. So I read the social media forums, lots and lots of people having problems with that, and that's my solution. Also, at the same time, if you notice my little socket there that I've had since I was back in an apprentice day, it's got my initials engraved on it. Nice touch. All my tools have got there are engraved. And I've been in all sorts of workshops and seen all sorts of people arguing and fighting about who owns the 10mm socket, or where's my this gone, or where's my that gone. It just doesn't happen to me. It's one of the first things I do. I get a tool, I engrave it. Maybe I could have been a little bit neater, but nevertheless, that's the job. Now, hopefully we've got enough light to get under here. This is where some of our fuses are. Some of them, the rest are underneath the near the glove box. Now, the thing is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to disable the fuel pump. So there's two ways we can disable the fuel pump. So one of the methods to disable the fuel pump, which is my preferred method, is to take out the fuse. Unfortunately, the fuse is under this little box. I've already removed most of the screws. We'll take that lid off, put that somewhere, and there's a whole heap of BMW mystery. So the part we're looking for, hopefully this light will give us some light, is that part there. This part there, we want to take that out. That's our fuse box. So what we've got two clips. We've got one clip on the back. We don't touch that one, because if we take that clip off, it's going to pull out the plug assembly as well. We want the clip that's on this side. So if I get a little tiny screwdriver in behind there and lever it back a little bit, if I can hardly see it, so you can hardly see it, just lever that back, and then that should lift out. There we go. So there it is. So now with this little item out, the fuel pump's not gonna function. So I'll put that there, plus a few other things as well. So now where we go, we've got to just get the fuel out of the fuel rail. So the fuel in the fuel rail is over here. And before we couldn't find that cap, we've got the cap now, so that'll be fine. So I take that cap off. Take the cap. Stick it in my pocket where I couldn't find it yesterday. Put a bit of cloth around the piece. I'll get the little screwdriver, and just push down on that valve. Right. Okay, well that's interesting news. We haven't got fuel pressure. It's been about a week, so maybe the fuel pressure's leaked back through the tank, through the one-way valve. Or maybe I've got a leaking injector. I don't think so. It runs too well. So I'll take that off. And now what I'll do for you, just put that back on again, on the coil pack. Not that it's going to start. Put it back on. I've got the key in ignition. We'll crank the engine over. And you can see if we've still got our problem with zero compression. Or close enough to zero compression. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, wait for this. So there we go, nothing. virtually no compression on anything. So the next part of our little adventure is we'll take all the core packs out. No need for you to watch me take those things out, just a couple of 10mm bolts and disconnect the electrical plug. And then we'll get some oil in an oil can. We'll probably put about 5 or 6 squirts down each cylinder. So we'll come back just as we're putting those 5 or 6 squirts in. So we've got all the spark plugs are out. They all come out without any trouble at all. We have a close look at them. They're not looking too bad. They've got nice sharp electrodes. They've got a little bit of carbon on them, but nothing excessive. The front one usually runs the coldest, so it'll have the most. That's number 1. Number 6 down here, you can see how that one's got hotter. It's hotter because the carbon is burnt off around the threaded part of the spark plug. Now the interesting thing is, when I took them out, I smelt them. It smells of petrol. They all smell of petrol. So there's been petrol going in there. That one's been getting a bit hot too. Number 2. That one's running cool. Or maybe it's running rich, that cylinder. That one's been melting off. And that one's been melting off as well. So there we go. So that's all our spark plugs. Our spark plugs are in good shape. Good platinum plugs. Always put the good stuff in there. You notice we put in Bosch. We don't put Yippee Wow Wow or some other weird brand in there. Bosch platinums. Doesn't matter how much they cost, just stick it in. Your wallet will forgive you at another time. Alright, so that's it. So we're up to the next part now. So the next part is we'll give those plugs a little bit of a clean, and we're going to put some oil down into the cylinders. Give it a quick spin with the spark plugs out, just so it can circulate itself around, and then we'll put the spark plugs in, and let's give it a go. See if we're going to have success. Now we've got our oil can. We've got some 530 in there, same oil as we used before. Let's get down to that. Get down there. Oh, this is going to be difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, getting tough here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last but not least. Good grief, I might have to leave that one out. Where's our torch? One of our torches. Let's see what we can do. If we can get that in there. Yeah, I can get that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. 5 squirts. Penrite 530. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, next part. We'll put the spark plugs back in. I won't bore you with that. Make sure you put the earth straps on when we're putting the core packs in. What I did do, I looked down the tops of the pistons to see what the tops of the pistons look like before I put the oil in. So the tops of the pistons, they didn't look excessively wet, but on the other hand, they weren't dry either. So I was able to see cylinder 1. I can still see cylinder number 1 here, and yeah, cylinder 4. I could see a bit of cylinder 3, a little bit of cylinder 3. So what I'll do now, I'll get that blue towel. I'll put the towel over the top, give it a few cranks, and then we'll be away. This will do. I don't want to spray oil all over the Alpine white paint job. This is an individual, by the way. It's not a standard order. Down the back. Let's hope it doesn't get sucked into the cylinder. Get the oil can away. Give it a few cranks, see what it sounds like. they'll do it. Now, did any oil come out? Not really. I wonder if five squirts is enough. Anyway, we're going to give it a try, right? I can see that piston down there now. The top of the piston's pretty wet. What else can I see? I can see that one's wet. It's down near the bottom somewhere. Yeah, that one's wet. They're all black. All right, let's just give it a whirl. Back soon, folks. All right, here we go. Everything's back together again. Now, just to check that fuel pressure, take the cap off. This little screwdriver. So I've just turned the ignition on and turned it off. I could hear the fuel pump going, so we should have pressure. So if I push that valve down, fuel should spray up. Right, there it goes. Okay, that's it. So now we're out of fuel pressure. Anyway, that's good. So I know where I put those fuses back in again. Everything's working in the box around the corner. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the big moment. The big moment. The question is, do I put enough oil in the cylinders to get enough compression to get something about to happen? Okay. Let's take these gloves off. Take the gloves off. I think we'll try 10 squirts, and I think we'll try that tomorrow. So it was good. We had compression on a few cylinders. It was going for a while there. What I might do, I might get some thicker oil. I think I'll put 530 in. Anyway, I'll put my thinking cap on, and we'll give it a go tomorrow. There's the thing about cars, you don't ever let a car beat you. Sometimes, you know, you have little problems, you're out of technical knowledge, but at the end of the day, they're just a lump of rubber and steel and lots of aluminium and lots of technicians that have put things in there to make life difficult. Anyway, all right, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. So, yesterday we nearly got there. I'm thinking about it overnight. I was thinking maybe we should have put a bit more oil in. We had some compression on about half the cylinders, but not enough to keep the thing going. So part of me thinks that the oil ring is probably doing a very good job on the 530 and wiping the oil off the board really quickly, and that combined with a little bit of petrol in there is washing it off. So I've decided to do a few things different. So what I've done, I've got some E39, so a very thick high viscosity oil. I'm going to put 8 squirts in every cylinder. I also put a new set of spark plugs. Probably due for a set. It's not going to hurt to have a new set of spark plugs in there. Give everything its possible chance. I've got the battery on charge. The battery seems to be fully charged. I've got my little gas burning tool. So what I am going to do is just turn it on and with our flame, just put it down each spark plug hole and just burn out any residual fuel vapor that might be in there. That's good. You never know what's in there. Nothing's gone bang. At least on the ones I can get. Without lack of oxygen, I suppose. Tank of oxygen. That one there. And that's the last one. I'm not going to do the very, very back one. Just come back. Just come back. Things are good. Alright, turn that thing off. Let the gas go off. Just get the torch for a minute. Have a look down there. What can we see? Piston. I can see the piston top. Looks dry. That's a good sign. I can see that one looks dry. Well, I can see three of them. That's interesting. Interesting positioning of the crankshaft. I can see all of them. There we go. That one's down a bit. That one's down a bit, and this one's close to top dead centre. Nevertheless, okay, all good. Alright, so now I'll put the oil in, put the spark plugs back in, and I'll turn the video back on once all that's done. Now we've got a slight modification to the oil container, so I've put a plastic tube on now so I can get the thing all the way down. All the way down into the hole. Right in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that's a lot of oil. A lot of oil indeed. Come on, get in there. Straighten this thing out a bit. Straighten it out. If I can get in the silver. Could you believe this is causing me trouble? Alright, I'm just going to turn this off. I'm going to sticky tape a stick on it, but nevertheless, I'm sure we've got the idea. Alright, everything's done. All the coil packs are back in. The earth straps are on. I've taken the oil cap off. I'm just going to encourage a little bit more air to go through the PCV to correct this bit of a richness problem that we've got. So I suppose the question is, do I take the gloves off or not? Take them off and chuck them out. Alright, let's go. Let's see what it sounds like. Wish me luck. Well, here we are. The next day, it's been raining again. All the water everywhere. So we managed to get the thing started. So did we work out what was really going on inside or not? Well, I think we've got a much better idea what's going on by knowing how to fix the problem. Now, a few other things that I didn't mention yesterday is I put some of this in, some Newlon oil flush. This is Pro Strength Extreme Oil Flush. Now this is very different to those other ones that you put in for 15 or 20 minutes, drive them around a little bit and drain it out. Now those are very aggressive and they'll end up stripping things off the internal bits and pieces of the engine. This one is a detergent. It's nearly the same detergent that's in oil, it's just there's a lot more of it. A lot more of it. So I didn't put that in when I did the oil change. I waited till the excuse my COVID. I waited till the engine was running, and then once the engine had warmed up, I tipped it in whilst the engine was running, so to do a proper mix. So it says on the container here, dissolves varnish, acids and contaminants, extreme sludge remover. So when I go to the back, it says highly active detergent, remove contaminant deposits from all engine surfaces, safe to drive in your engine, suitable for all engines, quickly and effectively dissolves varnish and sludge. So it dissolves it, it doesn't take it off in lumps and chunks. It's going to go to various places. Freeze internal sticky engine components by dissolving deposits, and so on and so forth. That goes on. So that's in there for now. What I'll probably do now, I'll do an oil change on that. This car probably over about 2, 3, 4,000 k's, something in that area. And we'll put another one in. Might put a second one in again. I mean, this type of stuff's cheap when you compare it to the cost of an engine. Now the other one which I'm putting in, also from Newline. I don't sell Newline products. I don't work for Newline, but there is a shop close by that has a lot of Newline products, and I found it to be pretty good in the past. So this one's to go in the fuel tank. Go in the fuel tank. So I'll put a litre in with a half a tank of fuel, upper cylinder lubricant and injector cleaner. And it says here, the very first thing it says, lubricates piston rings. Lubricates piston rings. Reduces valve seat burning and wear. Cleans upper cylinder deposits and injectors. And improves fuel economy. That'll be nice, won't it? On the back, lubricates piston rings. Cleans upper cylinder, carburetor and injectors, etc, etc, etc. So anyway, so that'll go in as well. Yeah, that's all. So I think overall we've had some success. We've got the thing started. We learned something along the way. It seemed like putting the 530 down the cylinder wasn't adequate. The 8090 most definitely was. So what I will make, I'm going to make a second video. I've got an engine in a different location, so I'll get that engine, I'll take the cylinder head off, pull the sump off, take a piston out, take a few pictures, take a ring off, put in the cylinder bore, see how much tension it's got. I'll do a nice little technical one on that, so we've got a bit more understanding of what's really going on. All right, folks, that's it. Put some comments somewhere if you like what you see. If you've got any opinion on anything else that maybe we've missed along the way or something we could do better, that'd be terrific. So over and out, guys and girls.